How does it feel? I can't really, I can't really hit the high notes, and my abs ain't really there with the V cut, so I ain't gonna take my shirt off. I ain't got it. I ain't got it.
It's the most wonderful time of the yes, not only Christmas, but we have scattered across the weekend, Nate, football feast. I mean, after the Thursday nighter, we go 2 on Saturday, 10 on Sunday, then 3 more Christmas Day, Monday. Do you like the schedule, or is it just the NFL trying to flex on the NBA?
It's both. I like the schedule because I want football all the time. I'm a little bit of a sick pup when it comes to consuming this sport. But the NFL is flexing. I sat down with Roger Goodell a few days ago, and that was one of my questions. I'm like, look, man, we have football falling out of the sky. It's on every network. It's on every streaming platform. It's damn near every day of the week. What's going on? He's like, there's no offseason. People love the NFL. And we are going to continue to give them as much of the NFL as we can, especially when you have this type of slate. And we're not afraid of the holidays anymore. At first, it was like, listen, football was like, hey, yo, man up top, we're going to need Sunday. All right. You get a little, I get a little, and we can work it out like that. Now football is just bullying their way up into holidays. Like, hey, yo, Santa, I'm going to need you to chill. Make your runs the night before. Don't step on my toes the day of.
Hey, get your work done, son. Get your work done, Santa.
Get your work done, because the next day is all me.
Because we're rolling in.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Listen, a wise man once told me, before you know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. So, Nate, what in the good name of Mike Mamula is wrong with the Eagles?
This is the toughest question because I don't want to over-exaggerate the criticism that they have already faced.
Okay.
They have had some inconsistency within the offense. The rhythm and the pacing has come to be somewhat predictable. But that's not a need for panic. There has been some explosive offenses that have, quite frankly, ran through and past this defense. Mainly the 49ers, really impressive. And shout out to the Cowboys too. I'm not saying that these guys are old, but they do have a couple of veteran players that they lean on each side of the ball. I'm starting to wonder if, as the Eagles become the older veteran team, sprinkled with some superb young talent, can they keep up with the young, fast, explosive teams of the NFL? And quite frankly, there's only a few of those. So for me, I just feel like the Eagles, they have a few hurdles they have to get over, and it's going to be very difficult. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't believe that this will be another year where the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. And for all the Eagles fans out there, and even Eagles players that might be hearing this isn't a knock towards you guys. I'm just concerned about the overall Super Bowl hangover finding its way into the postseason. These guys seem fatigued. It's almost like, we talked about it a lot during the regular season. And the reason I keep repeating myself is because I want it to take shape this time of year. You can be regular season good. You can be damn near regular season great, which is what the Eagles were. And now they're running out of steam going into the most important part of the year, which, like we say, in the month of December, you are exactly who you're going to be in the postseason. And right now, they're not a team that scares anybody.
So, I mean, I was going to bring up the division, but we can't bring up the division without mentioning the 10-4 Cowboys, who get another stiff test at Miami this weekend, home to Detroit, before closing at Washington. After last week's beatdown in Buffalo, as you mentioned, regular season good and great. I'll just ask you this. Do you trust the Cowboys?
That's a tough question.
I
trust the Cowboys. I trust the Cowboys. I do. I truly do.
I'm surprised to hear that.
I do. I trust them right now because the Bills are playing like the most motivated team, right? Everything is on the line, from the head coach all the way down to big paid players on the roster. And then you have a bunch of guys that were banged up and injured that are trying to make sure that their resume still holds so they can be on the team next year. There's a lot going on. So a very motivated Bills team can beat anybody. I'm not really concerned about the Cowboys getting smacked up.
Okay.
I feel like I trust the Cowboys right now. I am waiting to see what Dak Prescott and this offense looks like in the postseason. And forget about the first round. You can have that. I am talking about the NFC Championship game. One, this is a NFC Championship game at the very least, or bust for the Cowboys. And in that game, Dak has to show us exactly who he is. This isn't one of the sports pundits and former players saying Dak needs a defining moment, and I'm not doing all that. Dak's good, and he's worth every dollar that they're paying him. I just feel like he needs a defining moment to shut up everybody else, shut up all the noise. So to answer your question, very long-winded way, do I trust the Cowboys right now? Yes. Do I trust Dak Prescott right now? Yes. Do I trust them in the moments that matter the most, which is an NFC Championship game closing out fourth quarter? I haven't seen it yet, and that's not me throwing shade. That's just me being realistic, because we haven't seen that from this roster or this coaching staff.
Right. How do you respond in the fire like that? That might be the greatest question in all of football, any level. How do you respond in the fire?
And realistically, this game against the Bills, it's not going to make or break them getting into the postseason. They're good. Yeah. They're solid. Right. They're okay. So you can wipe that under the rug, play a few more games, gain your confidence going into January. But it's all about the playoffs with them, man. It's almost like I don't care what the Cowboys do up until a crucial playoff game. I literally don't care, because they've been this good for the last 3 years.
All right, I might not get off the couch on Christmas Day. I know you'll be working on Christmas Day. It's a feast of football, a triple header, capped by the Ravens and the Niners. Just the second time since the merger in 1970, when I was just a twinkle in my pop's eye, that two teams that have a share of the league's best record will meet in week 16 or later. The only other time it happened, the winner went on to win the Super Bowl. Is this that kind of matchup?
This is that. The 49ers and the Ravens are two of the best squads, and they do it differently, of course. 49ers are a little bit more balanced. The Ravens have that ground attack. Both quarterbacks are up for the MVP. I have faith that these two teams that are playing well at the right time will be representing their conference. The only team that I could put in that conversation on the AFC side is the Miami Dolphins and maybe a surging Bills. But San Francisco 49ers, to me, they are just they're just so far ahead of the race when it comes to who I look at as contenders in the NFC.
This is an interesting matchup, and we've gone back and forth on the MVP debate this year. You know as well as I do, two best teams in the league. Christmas Day, no other games on. The hype will be the MVP candidates, and I think there are three in this Niners-Ravens matchup. And you've worked on enough pre-games, you've worked on enough games in your life to know that will be a prime focus. Do you think, after all is said and done, that the MVP comes out of this game?
Yeah, I really do, because last week we were paying attention to who's doing what, right? I mean, so closely that when Tyreek Hill didn't play, we were like, oh, okay, is he banged up? All right, okay, fine that the offense ran smoothly, but what about Tyreek in this MVP race? So the same thing is happening as we move forward. If you have two juggernauts facing off, you have Lamar, Purdy, and Christian McCaffrey, everybody looking at these three. Whoever has that defining game, and it has to either be a huge win with a couple of big plays where stats don't matter, or you just go completely off and it's all stats. Like you can be on the losing end and have an amazing game and then wave to everybody like, yeah, I'm your MVP. We'll bounce back from the loss, but check out the numbers. So I do believe this is that matchup. It doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't.
Listen, I'm going to little diatribe here, because I know we've gone back and forth, but at one point during the MVP conversations that we've had, I said that I thought that Lamar Jackson was the most deserving among the quarterbacks, and that I didn't think he would win. And then I saw ESPN this week do a thing, why Lamar is a top 5 quarterback. Like, what? why you have to quantify that he's a top 5 quarterback. They're 11-3 and have more injuries than Rocky Balboa. I mean, look at the weapons that he's got, right? The Niners offense has weapons at every level.
Loaded.
Great quarterback, and I'm going to give Purdy that. Great running back, really good receivers, if not great receivers. And the Ravens are 11-3. Mark Andrews has been gone for over a month now. Isaiah Likely is a star. Like, here's the deal. And I know this. Lamar's had them winning. He's been their absolute star, but he's on pace for 21 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Do you think the voters could do that or should do that?
This is difficult because if you're looking at it from a football perspective, he's playing good football, really good football. So good that his team is in a dominant position as they close out the regular season. And like you said, he's doing it with all of these obstacles stacked up against him. On the flip side, you have Purdy, whose numbers are going to be bigger and better. I mean, he's throwing shovel passes to McCaffrey that counts as a pass touchdown. No knock against Purdy. Y'all know how I feel about Purdy.
You're a fan for those who don't know.
I see the difference between the two. And I got to be honest with you. I was so Purdy locked in that even as you started your diatribe, I thought to myself, all right, hurry up and get over with it, Tim, so I can just tell you how great Purdy is. But you make such a good point when we're talking about value, most valuable player. Lamar Jackson is playing a damn good season. And for the first time, the voters can do the right thing and say this isn't just a numbers-driven award. This isn't about the sexy team that is the best offense and is breaking records every single week. We've seen that. And some of those teams and some of those QBs didn't go on to win the Super Bowl. How about we just give it to a guy who week after week has shown up and dealt with everything that is thrown his way. I waffle back and forth, but you made one hell of an argument for Lamar Jackson.
But they're not doing that. I'm like,
well, listen, Tim, let's think about this though. Okay, so 21-9 and fairly pedestrian numbers to what we have seen in the past. The 5,000 yards and the 45 touches. We've seen some crazy stuff that comes through our league MVPs.
21-9.
But yeah, exactly. But on the flip side, forget about Purdy and his numbers for a second. I care less. Touchdowns, interceptions, yards, it doesn't matter. I do believe, one, Lamar has won it. All right. You know how that goes, man. They like this award to get moved around if they can. Two, what's a better story? Lamar Jackson gets MVP number 2, which rightfully so he deserves it, or this random
Mr. Irrelevant,
with the baby face, Mr. Irrelevant. They can't wait to just say that, from Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. MVP. So I just, it's storylines too, bro. Like, it's not scripted, but it can be cinematic, if you know what I mean.
I know
it's
exactly.
It's not scripted, but they can write it up like it's a blockbuster. So we have to understand there's other things at play here. Yeah. There is numbers, there's stats, there's team wins and losses, but there's also the storyline.
Yeah. Sometimes I call the MVP a narrative-driven award because it is that plays into it, and that's why Shaq only had the one MVP in the NBA, right? Because people didn't want to give him. Nobody cheers for Goliath. I'll just say this: you take Lamar Jackson off of the Ravens, they're like a 3-11 team, if that, and they're 11-3. And I'm not trying to disrespect.
And no, you're right. And if you take Brock Purdy off of that team, I believe they still have a winning record. Now that offense doesn't work as seamlessly with the Garoppolo or Trey Lance, but we've seen them win with Garoppolo. We've seen them have good years with Garoppolo. Garoppolo took them to a Super Bowl, and they put in Brock Purdy over him. So to your point, with the genius of Kyle Shanahan, the weapons that quarterback may have around him, you can plug and play a little bit. This isn't dismissive of what Brock is doing. But on the flip side, you take Lamar out of it, we're not even talking about the Ravens.
So I don't think
we might be talking about Harbaugh finding another team to coach for. Like that's how much of a difference there is if Lamar is in versus he's not.
I agree. All right. The Detroit Lions can clinch their
Yeah.
first division title since 1993. You spent time there. My pops lived and worked there during the Barry Sanders era. We both know the fan base. They have been tortured for years. And of course, the Lions get the Vikings twice in the last 3 weeks because it's the Detroit Lions. There's no reason for worry, right?
Why'd you ask me like that? Why'd you ask me like that, bro?
The dramatic pause? You didn't like the dramatic pause?
No, I didn't like the dramatic pause. I didn't like that. And that little sinister smirk. Yeah, there's reason for worry, bro. You know there is. There is because history. And this is more me being a homer saying, I hope that they can take this moment and continue to play this well week in and week out and remain competitive. I'm okay losing a close game, but I just don't want there to be this game where they show up and people get to say, oh, this is the same old Detroit Lions. Let's cap off how special this year is by playing Detroit style of football, which is beat 'em up defense, blitz the quarterback when you can, offensively, work inside out, tight ends to wide receivers, and then hand the ball off. Jared Goff, take care of the ball, make sure that special teams is efficient. And then Dan Campbell continue to do what he does, man, motivate this team. I love what they're doing right now, but similar to Dak Prescott, I want the Detroit Lions to have their moment. So, a defining moment in the playoffs will change everything for those two individuals.
Sorry, could a pounding of the Vikings in a spot where you can clinch the first division title since '93 be that? Like, I want to see a statement right here, right now, from this team to say we're not the old Detroit Lions that make our fans go, "Oh no, is this happening again?"
Yeah, but the Vikings aren't really a good team right now. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a game you're supposed to win. So win and win convincingly. Like, don't get in a dogfight and have to pull it out in the overtime with the field goal. Like, beat up on the Vikings, because they're not fully equipped either to be who they want to be. I just feel like we know the Detroit Lions will make it to the playoffs. Who are they going to be when they get there? That's the ultimate question.
Okay, I got you. All right, we're running out of time here. I want to get to two more things. One of them is we all know that stats are like D'Angelo videos. They show a lot, but they don't show everything. That's probably too deep a cut for most. But some stats are way more provocative. They go like full red tube or whatever. And not only can the Chiefs clinch their 8th straight division title, but Patrick Mahomes has 217 touchdown passes in 94 career games. He's tied with Dan Marino, the Hall of Famer, for the most touchdown passes by a player in his first 100 games in the NFL. He's got 6 games to pass Marino, 6. And I know there's a tendency to build them up, to tear them down, and then build them up again. But I feel like we need to put some respect on Patrick Mahomes' name. I feel like people right now have started the tear him down era of his career, even though these numbers are ridiculous. Where do you rank Patrick Mahomes?
I believe he's the best quarterback of this generation. And where we're moving, Aaron Rodgers, he's the tail end of the old generation. Already will go down as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. What he has done, type of success he has had, the level of consistency, the way that he can hit you with traditional quarterback play, drop back 5 steps, hit somebody on a dime, or he can ad-lib, extend the pocket, and throw across his body. Let's just appreciate greatness while we have it. I was talking with Mahomes yesterday. I flew out to KC. We got to kick it. And I was asking him, like, why do you feel like there's so much criticism of your squad this year? And he said, because people aren't used to us winning like this. We have been so dominant. Now, think about that. His answer was, people aren't used to us winning like this. We have been so dominant. He's used to pure dominance. Like, I don't know what that's like. I mean, speaking of D'Angelo, I had to ask him, how does it feel? I can't really hit the high notes, and I don't have a V cut. With my abs ain't really there with the V cut, so I ain't gonna take my shirt off. But you know what I mean. I remember the video. That was a nice reference, by the way. I just feel like we better put respect.
I love how you knew halfway through the singing and hit the cough, like excuse me.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. But yeah, he's one of the greats already. And if you're a traditionalist, old school, and you want to fight me on that, just look at the numbers, man. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Shout out Jay-Z, JZ here in Canada. I'm trying to figure out. We've hit 20 minutes, so I'm
Hey,
just
man,
gonna
add it again. Come on, I know we got one more. Let's get it.
we talked. I mean, I just wanted to get to. I mean, the AFC North right now is tighter than Brian Bosworth's headband. Like we are. You have one, right? We know the Ravens are there, but after that, and I don't even know if it matters. You got 9-5 Browns at the Texans this week, and then Bengals and Steelers face each other. Like that's how it's gonna go, right? Like we're not gonna get a shakedown from that. 9-5 Browns, 8-6 Bengals, 7-7 Steelers. Do you see it working any other way?
I do believe it's the Browns and the Bengals. Like they're bringing up the tail end. When this division initially like started this season, I didn't see anybody doing any damage but the Bengals and the Ravens. And then you have the Steelers and the Browns. And what Jake Browning is doing, like, let's just show this dude some love right now, because nobody expected the Bengals to even be in the topic of conversation. This is going to be down to the wire when it comes to this division. And I like the fact that the scheduling folks made sure that the back end of the schedule was division heavy. And this is going to come down to defense. This isn't going to come down to a quarterback. Not even Lamar Jackson is wowing us with his numbers. So this is going to come down to who can run the rock and who can beat up teams on defense. And that's why this division might be the best one to watch as we close out this season.
And we got to give the Browns. I mean, I think we have given the Browns defense some love throughout the weeks of this podcast, but they have been straight balling the entire year.
Yeah,
I love the t-shirt. I dad different. I need one of those myself. So as you dad differently over the holiday season, and I know you celebrate Christmas, what's the best tradition at the Burleson? And I know that you're working, so it's a little bit different, and it can be tough to work in and around the schedule. But what's the tradition that you look forward to the most as you dad?
We do the milk and cookies. We've done gingerbread. We also open up one gift before Christmas. So Christmas Eve, you get one little gift just to whet the appetite. Something I did a couple of years ago that I want to get back to. I pulled it straight out of like a movie or a TV show that I saw. I ordered a whole bunch of Nerf guns from everywhere. Like I went to go buy some in person, order some online. I bought like the really nice ones, the ones that's like $60. Like I went in and early in the morning I woke up when the kids thought I was, setting up presents. I put it all by their doors, and I was like, choose your weapon carefully. And they all had like a pile of big ones, little Nerf grenades. And I said, the battle begins in an hour. And it was the funnest time. I felt like a kid. So I actually got to bring that back, because when the kids opened their door and their eyes lit up and they're like, oh snaps, it's about to go down. Like that's a tradition I want to keep going.
That's awesome. Who cleaned up?
We all ended up attacking my oldest at one point because he talks the most trash. But I think it was me though. I'm nice with it, bro. I'm strategic. You know what I'm saying? I grew up on first person shooter games, so I knew all the angles.
Right.
The kids see my kids every time we play video games. They run in willy nilly, face all open. They don't care because you got a million lives. And I was like, hey, if this was real life, it's not gonna work. And they came in the same way. I'm like, bro, you're exposed, man. You're exposed.
You're gonna eat a Nerf bullet. All right.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas to you, and I want to take a quick second.
Appreciate it, brother. Happy holidays.
All the best to everyone taking this in. I know it's a slow build in a very crowded space. I know I speak for Nate when we say we really appreciate you taking the time to do this with us whenever you do, each and every week, once a week, once every 3 weeks. We appreciate you and wish you the best over the holiday season and, of course, Christmas. And Nate, dog, I know you're working, but all the best to you and the fam on this.
Appreciate Christmas. It, man. Happy holidays. I love y'all, man. Let's do it again next week.
All right. Enjoy week 16, everybody. We are out like penny loafers.